Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kurtiwada. In this video, we will learn how to use this add nodes module and how to implement that in our Angular application. So already we have built some set of application which is related to this, and for that particular user you can add your nodes, and that part we will be doing in this particular video. So we'll see how to create a form, how to navigate to that particular add nodes, and how to showcase the UI and how to validate them, and once you click on submit, how to add that particular nodes into that DB. So now let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. What I'll do is, already we have some set of modules which we have created. Let me go here and let me show you. This is reset password, profile. Already we have completed all of them. So you can see this profile and reset password, and now we will target about the nodes. Whenever I click on the nodes, you will be seeing the list of nodes. As of now, you don't have any nodes. That we will be seeing in the future videos. But for now, what we'll do is, these nodes will be empty, but I'll create a button over here. Once I click that button, it has to navigate to the next page where we can add some set of fields, and that particular fields will help us to fill that form and submit the nodes, and that node should be saved in our mock API inside this particular nodes database table. So now, as of now, it is empty, so that's why you're not seeing any of the data over here inside our list. Now what I'll do is, I'll create a button. On clicking on that button, I'll just open a next page. Either you can open a next page, or if you want to have only a pop-up, it's up to you. But for now, what I want to do is, I want to showcase you how you can use dynamic routes as well. So that's why I'll use this particular button, and clicking on the button, I'll be navigating to the other page. So now what I'll do is, I'll just go here and I'm inside the modules. So let me see how the structure here. We have the modules, and let me see the structure. We have material and predefined and user defined. So let me come out of this modules and let me click ls, and now we have components. Now what the case is, we have views, and inside the admin views we have reset password, profile and nodes. Inside the nodes, we should create one more module called as nodes which need to be added. That means nodes details. So what I want to do here is, let me come out of these components and let me come out of this common, and now let me go inside our admin views. So let me go into our views, cd space views, and then let me go into our admin views. So here I was inside the app. Let me go into this app, and then let me go into views, and inside the views let me go into admin views. So I'm inside the admin views, and there I want to create a particular nodes details module. So nodes details is completely related to the nodes part. So let me jump into the nodes folder, and there I'll be creating a component as well as a module as well as routing. So let me create our module first. Ng generate module, and the module name is nodes-details module. That may be edit, that may be add. I'll use the same component -- routing and hit enter. So it will be creating a module along with the routing part. Now what I want to do, I want to create a particular component. So I want to use the same thing with skip-tests, and then we have node details, and here we will be using a component. Let me hit enter. Now you can see the component over here. So let me clear this off, and it will be updated in our module. Let me go and check our module. Inside the module we have a nodes details routing, and we have something called as nodes details component. Now how to configure these routes? It's very important. Actually speaking, whenever you want to add a route or add a nodes, then you will be having a button. On clicking on that button, it has to go into some other page where nodes/nodes details, some other page it has to go. So whenever it is going to the other page, if it has an ID, then we can consider it as a view or edit. But whenever you don't have an ID, and if you go directly into the nodes details, then it will be treated as a new nodes. So let me go here. What I'll do is, I'll just go into our routing, that is app routing. Try to understand, we are going into app routing. And if you want to go into nodes, we have a module called as nodes module. And this nodes module is having a routing again, and it is having a empty route, and which will be showing the nodes component. Now whenever you have nodes, and then I'll give a path called as details. Whenever you have this details along with the nodes, then you have to go into the load children, because again I have one more module for details. So let me import that module. How can I import? /nodes detail /nodes detail module, and it is a promise based, hence you will be getting a module, and this module will be your nodes details module. So I am going into nodes details module. Whenever I give details alone, you have to go into add component, that is nodes details component. So let me go into the routing part. Here what I'll do is I'll make a path, and the path is empty. That means nodes/details, and the component which I want to render is nodes component. So I want to go into the nodes component. Let me save this, and let me save this. Now first case is, let me go here and check our routes. So that is nothing but details. Nodes/details will go into the nodes works. So still it is in nodes works. Why? Because the module is not getting updated. Let me inspect this, and you can see the console, no error, but it has to show something called as nodes component. That is nothing but nodes details component. This is the component it has to render, and you should have a HTML, and the HTML is something like nodes details works. So it is not working as expected. Why? Because we have created a new module. Let's see whether that module has a chunk or not. So what I'll do is I'll just quit this and just use ngserve, and also we will be getting to know this details. Let me copy these details, and let me check the name or spelling. So this is also details, but for now what I'll do is I have compiled successfully. Let me reload this so that my chunks will be created again. So let me go into nodes/details, or just copy and paste here. Let me hit enter. It is still going into nodes. Let me go here. Let's check the problem in the routing. So let me go into nodes details and nodes routing. Oh, it is something like nodes details component. So we have to give a proper component, otherwise it will go into other components. So let me go here. Now it is inside the details component. So here what we will do is we will create our detailed structure of our component, and then we will be doing some set of validations, and once the validations are done, we will be clicking on the submit. Once we click on the submit, that has to store the data in our mock API. That is what we will be doing in this particular video. First case, we want to have nodes details form. So for that sake, what I'll do is, it is very similar to our previous registration or reset. So what I'll do is I just want two fields. So that sake, let me close everything, and I'll open only few components, that is nodes details.ts, nodes details.html, and let me go into reset password, because it is very small module. So that's why I'm using reset password.html. If you want to use, or if you want to rewrite the code manually, it's up to you. So you can write even in that way. Let me copy this and put it over here. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just change a few things. First thing, I'll just remove this disabled functionality, and this is nothing but reset password. I don't want to use reset password. What I'll do is I'll use add nodes, and let me use a cancel button. That is okay. And it is a reset button. That is also fine. And now I don't want to have any of the validations. So what I'll do is I'll just use this type as a text. So let me make it as a text by default, and I don't need this icon as well. Let me remove this icon and go here, just remove this form control as well, and let me go here and remove this mat icon. I don't want to use this mat icon, and I just want to use this div. Let me cut this and put it over here just for the form control, and after that form control we can validate it for that sake. And let me remove all the remaining stuff. So here I don't want to use this. So it is very simple. I have created a form field and a form controls. I'll remove this form group and ng submit as well for now. I'm just targeting for the UI in the initial part. So now instead of reset, I'll use add nodes, and let me remove this password. So for now it is add nodes. In the later videos, what we'll do is we will update this based on the page where we are coming from. So if you are coming from edit, you will be seeing edit nodes. If you are coming from add, you will be seeing add nodes. and save this. Now this is nothing but the title. So I want to have a title, and then I want to have something called as description. So let me format this and save this. Let me go into the browser, and here you can see there are a lot of errors. These are completely related to the material, because we have created a new module that is nothing but notes details module, and that details module should have predefined modules as well as material modules, because we have material modules which we want to inject. Let me save this, and you can see this title. Now that title should be very big. So what I'll do is just go into our reset.sass, just copy the map form fields and just go here into our notes details.sass and paste here, save this. Now it got a title. We want to have a description. A notes can have a lot of descriptions. So that's why what I'll do is just I'll go into our input, and what I'll do, I'll just go and search for the text area. So let me use Control F, text area. So we are not getting that directly. So let me check autocomplete and expansion form fields. So inside the form fields we have mat select, and let me check the text area part. So here you have text area. So I can use this text area. Let me get that text area, mat form field text area, copy this and go into our HTML part. Now let me use that inside our content. So let me go here and create a div, and inside this div let me put this. Let me format and save this. So you got mat input with a text area. Go here, you got that text area. Now this is very simple, and this text area can be expandable. So if you see here, I'm able to type something over here, and I can type only 2 lines. If you want to make like more lines, you are getting a scroll. So it's up to you how you want to design this particular text area. So what I'll do is just I'll go into our form fields, and by default you are getting this text area with background, but I don't want to use that. I want to make it as outline. So how you can make it as an outline is, it is very simple. Like you can use same like this, but appearance will be outline. Let me copy this appearance and put it over here so that it looks like a outline part. So you can see here, yeah, it is looking like a same title, but it is bit big. And now I want to expand this rows. So what you can do is go to your text area and add your rows. So rows is equal to, by default it is having 2. Let me add 6. Save this. And now your text area is bit big. And now you have a title, you have a text area, and you have add notes. So here we are clear, but now what I want to do is I want to add a validations for this particular notes feature. For validation, we need to create a form builder. So let me go and create the form builder first. So let me go into our notes details, and here what I'll do is I'll just add a constructor, and we need the dependency that is nothing but our form builder. Private form builder, and the builder is of a service called as form builder. Now what I want to do, I want to have a notes feature, and this notes feature is a form group. Let me use a form group for this, and let me add a note over here. Now what we want to store inside this form group, that is also very important. Now the case is, we want to create this form initially by using implements and on init. So let me use ng on init, and let me create this dot init notes form. So I want to initialize my notes form. Let me create this and make it as private and put it over here with a void, and then I want to assign some notes for this notes form, and copy this and put it over here, is equal to, I want to create this dot form builder, and the form builder will be an object. So inside this form builder we have something called as group. So I can make it as a group. Now this notes form, what I can do is created from, instead of from I'll use it as form, copy this and put it over here. Yeah. So now we have to get the title and the description. So what are the variables which we are using over here? Let's go into an API and check what are the things you are using. One is title, one is description, created by, created it, updated it. So these are the things which we are just using the timestamp, but created by something which we have to send to the API. And title and the description, we have to send it to the API. So these three are the things which we need to send by us to the API. So what I'll do is created by, title and description. These three things I'll just add in our form. So let me go here. I'm using a form control, and the form control is a title because we have this title over here and the description. So let me use a title, and which is an empty. So validators, I can use validators dot compose, and we have something called as validators dot required. Validators dot required. We need at least of minimum of 3 to 5 characters. So what I'll do is I'll add validators dot min length, and min length is of 3 characters, at least 3 characters title. And I can have a description. So let me copy the description over here, copy it and put it over here. So I have a description, and the description is empty by default. It should be validators dot compose of, I have an array validators dot required, and I need to validate it with minimum length of 5 characters, because without 5 characters it will not be considered as a description. So I'm giving a minimum length of 5. So he has to give minimum length of 5. So now what I want to do here is I want to add one more property which will not be used in our application UI, but we need this value to send to the backend. So that's why I'm creating a created by, which is again a string. So I don't want to have any of the validation. Let me save this. Now this notes form I can use in my HTML. Let me go here to the HTML and let me create a form group, and this form group is notes form, and we can give a form control name, and the form control name is title. Copy this and put it over here, and we have this text area. For text area also you can give a form control name, and the control name is description. So let me copy this and put it over here, and let me use a disable feature. Disabled, when it should be disabled whenever my form is invalid. So let me use that form. What is my form? Notes form. Let me go to the TS and just copy that notes form, and notes form dot invalid. Whenever it is invalid, I want to disable this add notes button. Save this, and now let's write our validation part. Let me uncomment this, and instead of reset form, what I can do, I can just change it to our form. The form name is notes form. Put it notes form, change this, and instead of new password I can use a title. Copy, paste, paste, paste and paste. So we have created our title, and here I can just get the required part. So instead of this one I can make it as title is required, and instead of pattern I can check min length. So minlength, if it is reaching our min length, so we will say that title should be minimum of 3 characters, and I'll just copy this particular div and put it over here for the text field or text area, and let me change this description. That's it. So we are done with the description part. So once you change the description part, then you can say that you have to use description is mandatory, and description should be of minimum 5 characters. So save this, and let's check that validation part. Let me go here and now click on this. So you are saying title is required and text description is required. So let me use this with some characters. So you have to enter 3 characters. Hi is a 3 character, and you have to enter 5 characters, A, B, C, D, E or S, anything. So here we are showing text area. I don't want to show that text area. So let me go, and instead of text area I'll make it as description. So that is my description. Save this. Now you have the description for the form control, and the validation part is done. And if you see, if I'm not entering anything, add notes is disabled. So go here, and now let me clear this off. Next part is whenever we click on add notes, we have to save this. So add notes is a submit, hence go here to the top level and write ng submit. So ng submit. I can write something like ng submit, and it's an action. So hence I want to use a parenthesis. Let me save this. So that is nothing but save notes or add notes. Simple to say add notes. And copy this add notes, put it in your TS as a public because we are using in our HTML, and now it will not return anything. So what I want to do here is I want to call an API and send the data. Before sending that, let me create our payload which is required for us. Payload is equal to this dot notes form dot value, and what I want to do is whenever he is creating it, whenever we send this payload, we want to update this created by. So we have to use this created by for post, and this created by is for everyone. So that's why don't write this created by here. Instead we will be writing at our service layer. So we don't have any service related to nodes. So what I'll do is I'll create a service for us. So where we have this service, it is inside our services layer. So let me go cd dot dot and ls, cd dot dot and cd dot dot ls, and let me go into services. So inside these services, let me create node service, ng generate service, and the service name is nodes service, and I don't want to create any spec files, so skip -tests, enter. So now it created a node service, and inside this node service we will have all the CRUD operations. So what is the base URL? Already we have that base URL in our user service. Let me get that base URL. Let me close this, and this is our user URL. So let me copy these two parts and put it over here. So we have an endpoint, and the endpoint is given by mock API. That endpoint is something like /nodes. So if you see here /endpoint, instead of users we'll use nodes now. So nodes, and let me import this base URL from environment, and this is nothing but nodes URL. So let me inject our HTTP, that is nothing but HTTP client, and what I want to do is I want to post user nodes, or simple to say add nodes, and this nodes will receive a payload, for now any, and it will return an observable which is of some type. Let me keep it as any as of now, and which we have to return is this dot http dot get, or just post it, right? So we are posting the values, and the URL is this nodes URL, that is the endpoint URL. So let me use this dot nodes URL comma the payload whatever we are sending as observable which is of any. So this any should be replaced with our interface. So let me create an interface, export interface, and the interface name is iNodes, and the interface name is iNote. Let me make it as iNote, and for each and every node what are the properties we have. Let me go into the edit part and get this ID which is created by mock API itself. So let me make it as string, which is an optional case, and title, it's a mandatory, so let me pass it as mandatory, and we have description. So let me go and get, so that the spellings will not be wrong, so let me use description, and it is also a string type. So let me go here and created at, so created at will be of string, and updated at, so whenever we update we will be using these parameters. So let me save this, and we have this title. Let me remove this question marks. Why? Because title and description are mandatory, and we have something called as created by. So created by will be an optional again, because it can be empty as well. So created by is an optional for an interface, but whenever we are sending as a payload, it is very important. So now what I'll do is I'll use this iNote. So this iNote will receive the payload. Now I want to update few things. One is created at, that is the time given by us, and created by, that should be given by us. So first what I'll do is I'll add only this created by. So who is the created by? I want to use some UUID who is created by. For example, in this case the uniqueness of this data user is either UUID. You can use either UUID or you can use an ID of the user. So what I'll do is better I'll use this ID only. So for example, when I create this, my ID will be 1. That will be passed into this created by. So created by is a payload value. So what I'll do is I'll add payload dot created by is equal to who created this. The person who is adding this nodes, that guy has created this. For that sake, what I can do is I can get local storage keys dot, that is nothing but I can use local storage dot get item of local storage keys dot ID. If it exists, take that, otherwise empty. So let me give semicolon. Now what I'll do is I will be passing this created by and save this. Now I can use this service in our nodes. So let me go into the nodes and create that dependency, private nodes service, and this node service will have a node service reference. So let me copy this node service, and once you click on add nodes, what I'll do is this dot node service dot add nodes of payload, the payload whatever we have, and I can subscribe to this with a response. You will be getting a response over here, and along with the response we will be getting an error, that is nothing but any. You may be getting an error as well. So whenever it is success, what I want to do is I want to show a toast message. So for that sake, let me inject private, that is nothing but mat or snack bar service. We'll change this into a service layer again. So mat snack bar. So let me use this snack bar service. This dot snack bar service dot open of, I want to get the message. So in the previous video, in the reset password, I already created a reusable method. We'll use that method, reset password component dot ts. So this method I'll make it as common. For now, let me copy this and put it over here inside our method or a component itself. So show snack bar, and what I'll do is I'll just use this dot show snack bar, and this is the service name. Copy this and put it over here. So now I can pass just a message for this, and the message is nodes added successfully, semicolon, and save this. Now no need of using this response. If you want to use it, you can use it. I note, and you will be getting a note from the backend. So I can check if response exists, then you can say that nodes added successfully. And once the nodes added successfully, you can just clear the form. For clearing the form, we have reset button. We'll talk about it. And if something like a response you didn't get anything and you got a null, then you should say that nodes added, or just you can say that please try adding again dot dot dot. And if you get an error, you can say that something went wrong, please try again. So something went wrong, please try again. And I am not using this, so let me remove. Now nodes added successfully. If nodes has been added successfully, then what I can do is I can show a message, and at the same time I want to clear the nodes form. So what I will do is I'll just go into our nodes.html, save this, and go into our reset. So we have something called as a reset button. Go to the TS, that is nodes details TS. Let me go into this form, and inside this form what I want to do is I want to have reset button, that is the view child. So let me get that view child of reset button, and that is also a reset button. Let me use not colon mat button, and I can use this reset button for clearing off all the fields. I can use this reset button for clearing off all the fields. Element ref dot native element dot click. I'm clicking that dynamically. Instead of clearing each and every form values, I'm just clicking it. So let me save this, and now let's go and test this. Let me go into the Angular tutorial. So now what I'll do is I'll just add some random stuff. So first nodes, this is my title, and let me go into the description part. This is my first nodes for testing purpose. So let me inspect this and go to the network. Let me click on add nodes. So if you see, nodes has been created and you got 201 and nodes had been added successfully. So this is my title. This is created by, because my ID is 1, description is this one, and the title is first nodes. Let me go here now, cancel, and just click on reload. Now you will be getting this nodes, that is one nodes has been added. So if you see here, you got one nodes which is added. Let me click on data and you got all the data. The mock API has been updated, so you are seeing this. So this is how you will be getting your nodes. And if you see that created time, it is 2010/11/2022. That means it is giving a random created it and updated it. I don't want to use that. So what I'll do is, we will be creating our own created it and our own updated it, and we will be passing the data. So what I'll do is, just I'll go here and clear this off. So now I have cleared all the data. So what I'll do is, just I'll go here into Angular tutorial again and let me create one more. So let me go here and give some title, that is first check and first check description. So now we are clicking on add nodes. If you see here, we are passing only 3 and all that 3 will be loaded over here. Created at, that is nothing but 2015 it is getting, and created by is 1 because my user ID is 1. First check description. The only case which we need to change here is updated at and created at. We have to take care of this. For the first time, whenever he is creating, both created at and updated at will be the time whenever he is creating this. That means when we are calling that particular API. And if you see this ID, it is 1. Don't get confused. The ID whatever it is created over here, that is created by your mockapi.io. What it will do is, this ID indicates the sequence of nodes. If you are using second nodes, your ID will be 2. And the same ID will be used in your users also, but this ID will be restricted only for your users table. So remember, you will be getting 1, 2, 3 IDs, and created by will be referring to your particular user. So that's about your user creation or nodes creation. Now what we will do is, we have created by. So what we generally do over here is, whenever we are creating it, we will be adding that particular values. So payload dot created by, already we did it, and created at is equal to, I can get that new date and I want to get it as .to. You can use ISO string, date string, anything, but I will be using this to string and I'll pass this particular value. So created it, and at the same time we will have the updated it as well. But even you can put both updated it and created at same time, or else you don't have any update, so that's why you can use null. That's up to you. But what I'll do is, I'll use the same updated it and the same created it, because update and create are mutually same over here whenever he is creating for the first time. Let me save this. Now this created it should go in a different way. So what I'll do is, I'll just reload this. So you got one particular nodes. So what we'll do is, just we will make it as 0. So that means you got 0. That means the data got resetted. So now what I'll do is, just go here and first check date creation and updation, something like this, my description. Let me click on this. If you see here, it added the nodes and it cleared whole form. Let me go here and just reload this. You will be getting all the details over here. Let me click on data. So if you see here, you got created at, updated at in an IST format, and also you got description, title and ID. So if you go into edit, actually speaking, we are using fake.js, but this fake.js is creating a random date. So that's why I am passing my date. Whenever we are passing, it is getting overridden. So instead of doing that, we'll change it to string format. Let me go and change into string format. So created it and updated it, I change it to string format and click on update. So nodes has been updated. Now what I'll do is, I can add n number of nodes now. But if the title is same, if the title is matching, okay, either a lowercase or uppercase, I don't want to save the data. That means your title, whatever you are entering now, that title should not be same. So let me close this. We got the data over here and the data is something wrong. Let me pass some new data over here. Let me reload. Now I think we have changed this data, so that's why we are not getting the proper values. So what I'll do is I'll just remove this. Here you can generate automatic also, but I don't want to do that. Let me go here and add testing description and add notes. Go here and just refresh and load the data. So if you see, we got testing and testing description, and close this. Now we got the particular notes over here, and we want to check the notes should not be created duplicated title. So what we'll do is, whenever you have this title, that title should not be same as the title which is already in the DB. So how we can check is, we have to check by getting all the notes first and compare your title with the existing notes, and then you have to save it. For that sake, what I'll do is get all notes. I'll be using one particular API. So let me use observable and iNote, which is an array format, because we'll get all the values. Now let me return this dot http dot get, and the get value is this dot. I can use this notes, that is notes URL, and I can get it as observable, which is of iNote and semicolon. Now we are returning an observable. So we are using this observable with iNote, but we have to pass it as an array. Save this. So now you have to call this get all notes. Let me make it as public, and let me make it as public here as well. So let me get all the notes first. So what I'll do, whenever I click on add notes, will be getting all the values. First, what I'll do is I'll do a check. That means this dot notes service dot, I'll get all the notes with a subscription, and this will give all notes to me, which is of iNote array. And now what I want to do is I want to check whether this particular notes contains the same title or not. For that sake, let me move all this logic inside this. Okay, so now I'll be checking my notes with this particular payload. You got that value, which is a payload value, and I got all the notes as well. And at the same time, inside the subscription, you may be getting an error also. So you have to capture that error too. And let me put this here. Now you got all notes, and we have to check that notes. So how we can check is const index, or you can check with find index, or you can check with filters. It's up to you. So let me use filtered notes is equal to all notes dot filter. I want to filter with obj, and the obj will be equivalent to my iNote. Now obj dot title is equal to payload dot title. So it can be same. Now I have entered a capital letter, but I have some small letter inside my DB. Then also it is same, actually speaking. So that's why what I'll do is I'll convert both into similar case. That means 2 lowercase, and here the title also I'm converting into 2 lowercase, so that both will be in same cases and we can check the values. And also I want to trim this. That is nothing but dot 2 lowercase dot trim. Trim is a method which will remove all the spaces between first and last. So I'm using trim on both the sides. So you will be removing all the spaces from first and last, and also you will be checking the values. So now let me go inside here. Now what I want to do is, if my filtered notes dot length, if it is greater than 0, then there is a match. If there is a match, you should not save the data. So this dot show error message, note title already exists, and just return this. Now if that is not the case, that means if filtered notes dot length is equivalent to 0, then I have to save the data. Cut this and put it over here. But this function is becoming more big. So what I'll do is I'll create one more method, private save notes. and this will receive a payload, and the payload is some user format, and which will not return anything. What it has to do is it has to call this particular data with a payload, and this payload is user payload is not assignable to inode. Sorry, it is inode. It's not user, it's inode. So now I'm passing this payload, save nodes. Let me call this here, this dot save nodes of payload. I'm passing the payload to this. Save this, and everything is good. Let me format this. Now go here, save this. So let me go here. Now we have this nodes, and if you see the loaded data, you have testing. This is my title. Okay, so let me use the same title now and give some second or duplicate nodes. Okay, so let me click on add nodes. So if you see here, nodes title already exists. That means you have that nodes already. And now let me check 1, 2, 3 and just give a space. Here I gave a space, testing space, but if you see the existing one, we don't have that space, even though it will check the duplication part. Nodes already exist. If I do something like in the starting, I gave a space and try to save this, again it showed node title already exists. Let me change this, testing duplicate. I changed the name of the title, and let me click on add nodes. Now nodes has been added successfully, and if you go here, close this, click on data again, you got 2 records, ID 2, ID 1. Let me close this, clear and reload. You are getting 2 nodes, and the 2 nodes are related to one particular user. That user is nothing but created by 1. So let me close this, and this is how you will be creating your nodes. Now in the upcoming video, what we will target is, when I go into this nodes, you have to see all the list of nodes whatever we have, and also we have to create a new button over here. So that we will complete now. So what we'll do is, inside the nodes component, we will be creating one button. On clicking on that button, we will navigate to add nodes. So let me go here, let me go into nodes component and into our HTML part, and let me give a div, and inside this div let me create one more div which is a header for me. And what I'll do is I'll just add a class with a deflex. We already have a bootstrap and I'm using it. Justify hyphen content hyphen end, that will move all my logic inside this div to the right side. And let me create a button, and the button already we know that how to create a button, that is nothing but material button. Let me go into our nodes details.html. let me get this button, that is nothing but submit, which is a primary button. Let me go into our nodes and put it over here. So let me create it as a button itself, and let me remove this disable functionality, add nodes. And you have primary, save this. Now you got this add nodes. So let me go here, you can see a button, but the material button is not working. Why? Because let's check nodes module, and inside the nodes module we need material module. One is material module and the second one is predefined module. So you may be getting a question why we are not getting an error whenever we don't have a module. Sometimes we are getting an error, sometimes we are not getting an error. The problem and the advantage of using directive is, if you have that module imported, that features will be applied to this particular element. Otherwise that features will not be applicable. But sometimes we are using something like card, where the card is having mat hyphen card. That means you are using an element of material. If you are using an element of material, it will throw error. If you are using a directive, it will not throw error. It will not behave as expected whenever you are not using that directive. So here you got add nodes. We need some set of padding and margin. What we'll do is we'll use the same type of padding whatever we have used in our other screens. Let me go here, and here you have something called as mat top 5. So let me go here and add a class. Let me go into our nodes.component.html. let me add a class with mat top 5 and save this. You can see here padding nodes, and let me add one container as well because it's too long. Let me save this, and the container is added. Now under this container you will be getting one table. That table part we'll talk later. On clicking on this add nodes, it has to go to the nodes/details page. For that, either you can use a router link, or if you really want to use from TS, you can just go and add at the TS level. So now I can use a router link, and the router link is something like nodes/details, and save this, or just you can use like this, save this and click on this. You can see nodes details, and let me click on back button. It went to list of nodes. So in my next video, I'll show you how to showcase a table with all the nodes and what are the actions we can make on that particular table. That we will see in the upcoming video. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.